Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. The match day, Man United are back. We've bloody made it. 3.5 weeks without a game of football, and tonight we feast. But we're also talking about Manchester United's secret Spanish midfielder. Another story coming out this morning from The Telegraph and James Ducker talking about Man United and their interest in Spanish midfielders. We posed the question, who is it? Who are they? I've got a couple of ideas. Maybe you've got some more as well. We'll talk about that. Also, quite an extensive update from James Ducker on the current midfield situation for Manchester United, which is the most important situation. We know that. Michael Carrick speaking about summer transfers, also speaking some embargoed stuff that came out last night. Sky Sports linking us in with Morgan Rogers again as well. And as we know, it's been a very good weekend in the Premier League for Manchester United with Chelsea losing. I don't get them. I'm honestly not going to really spend any time on it, but I absolutely do not understand Man United fans who want Man City to win the league. I mean, it's 2026. Times are changing. I'm glad I grew up in the 90s, but I don't get that one. But apparently that's a good thing that Man City are going to win the league. Brilliant, isn't it? You know, they're in the midst of a massive court case where they may well have cheated their way to numerous titles. They're our City rival, and there are United fans out there that want them to win the league. Crazy world we live in. But look, that's not where we're going to focus. We're going to focus on positives. Man United are back playing tonight. It's Baller League tonight as well. You can do 2 watch-alongs. You can tune in on my channel at 5 o'clock for the Gold Devils. We're up first against Ruckus. That will be live. I will be actually in the studio watching my team play, which is going to be, I'm sure, great viewing, because it's a bit like having a bloody one-match ban as the manager. I can't be there because United are live at 8 o'clock tonight, which is great. And we should win tonight. I mean, I don't think it's jinxing anything to say that we should be beating Leeds tonight. We're good enough to do that. Also been linked to Antonee Robinson by Mail Sports, somebody just said in the chat. We'll take a look at that. But where I wanted to start tonight, I think that this morning, of most interest to me, was that in the article in The Telegraph with James Ducker, who is obviously a Manchester United journalist, several midfielders in Spain are on Manchester United's radar. Now, this is not necessarily breaking news. This is news that we've had numerous times before. And Andy Mitten spoke about it a few weeks ago. So I'm starting to think, look, you know me, I would say that Manchester United and Stuttgart winning 4-0 again yesterday. Fantastic season that they're having, firmly in the top 4 in the Bundesliga, which is no mean feat for a team like Stuttgart. It's incredible the season they're having. Their talisman, their centre midfielder, their Bruno Fernandes in many ways is Angelo Stiller. He's having an incredible season, and that's the player that I think Manchester United should be looking at. Certainly, I think he's an incredible player, and Man United should be looking there. But we're also looking at midfielders in Spain. Now, look, Lucien Agume is a name that's in the chat already, and I didn't put him on the thumbnail because I thought, you know what, it's just the player everybody's going to think it is. We have been linked to him. He is playing for Sevilla at the moment. I mean, he's never played for France, and he's just turned 24. He's played a lot of games for Sevilla, and I mean, look, stylistically, he's a midfielder from Spain. I mean, there's more to it than that, but a lot of people like him. It's that high energy, and yeah, I think he could be a midfielder that Man United are looking at. Personally, I don't know who we're looking at. I mean, I think Barrios at Atletico Madrid would be a very interesting midfielder to look at. I mean, obviously he's not playing for Atletico Madrid at the moment in these Champions League games against Barcelona because he's had a couple of injuries. But at 22, I think he is arguably one of the most exciting technical midfielders in the Spanish league at the moment. I think he's an interesting player. And I would throw Xavi, is it Xavi Guerra? I can't remember. I think it is Guerra, isn't it, at Valencia? We were definitely in talks with him about a year ago, and then he signed a new deal at Valencia. I don't think he's had I know Valencia haven't had the best season, but I think he is another player that I would say potentially Man United are looking at, because if we're looking at, and also let's not forget Andy Mitten said more than one, and James Ducker is saying more than one, so it's not like it's one. And I think that the profile of midfielders that United are probably looking at, as we know, will be somewhere between 20 and 23, because that seems to be where we're obsessed with at the moment. It's not. We should watch Chelsea. United should take a look at Chelsea, because their obsession with this Chelsea model. I mean, has anybody seen the financial figures from Chelsea this morning as well? Anybody watched Chelsea yesterday? I mean, if we don't beat them on Saturday, I'll be stunned. They're crap. They've got no experience. They're a bunch of headless chickens. They've got an inexperienced coach. And United seem to think this is the way forward. But anyway, look, by the by. He is, there is Barrios, there is Agume, and there is Xavi Guerra at Valencia. I would say one of those three surely are on this secret midfielder list that Man United are clearly looking at in Spain. And look, when you look at Spain, there's Zubimendi, there's Rodri. It's not a bad league to import into the Premier League. It has worked before. And I think it's quite exciting that United are looking in Spain. And it's quite exciting that we've had two credible journalists separately over the space of a month talk about United and Spanish midfielders. So something is very clearly happening there. The exciting element is there's not really anybody who knows who it is. There really isn't. So maybe it is the lad from Sevilla. Maybe it is Barrios at Atletico Madrid. What I would say is, and I was thinking about this morning when I was out on my morning walk, you will get good value. You will get good value. A lot of people like Matt are saying Barrios should be a top target. There was another one here from Six Ways who says Barrios is a baller, dream midfield signing, but we're too obsessed with Premier League proven. Yeah, Mark says, Mark, on last night's show, you said it's your last few days. Don't miss the show at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's all I'm going to say. Probably the biggest show we've ever done. But look, that's for tomorrow. It's an exciting day today and I want to enjoy it. So look, I think with regards to, I'm excited about this midfield Spanish stuff. I am probably like some of you. I like it when United go and sign a player that we haven't been bored to death with. You know, if we sign Baleba, not only do I think he's shit, I also think we've been bored to death with this story for a year. Him holding up the shirt is not going to excite me, I'm afraid. I wish him all the best, obviously. But I would love it if it just suddenly broke in late May that Man United have bid 60 million for Barrios and Atletico Madrid have accepted it and he's coming to United. I mean, that's the sort of deal that would massively excite me. He's an exciting player, very, very technically very good. Good on the ball. I think Zubimendi's been an incredible signing for Arsenal. I know he had a bad game at the weekend, but I really do. I'd love that sort of signing. And I think that you can get really good value for money abroad. Spanish league beyond Barcelona and Real Madrid, they don't have the money. And look, Atletico Madrid have got a great chance of getting into the Champions League semi-final, but they don't have huge amounts of money. It's the same in the Bundesliga. It's the same in the Italian league. So if you can find players that fit the profile of what we need, then you can get good value for money. And I agree with a lot of people saying Man United seem to be Premier League proven obsessed. And you can understand it to a certain extent because you've got Cunha, you've got Mbeumo, who came in from Brentford and Wolves and have done very, very well. But Le Mans is not from the Premier League, and he is one of the best goalkeepers debut seasons in the Premier League history. I think he's done incredibly well. I'm old enough to remember De Gea, and I'll be honest, De Gea played in a better Man United side with more pressure because we were trying to win things. But Le Mans has had a better debut season than De Gea. De Gea did have his struggles a little bit with crosses and stuff. Le Mans has been much more steady than that. So I think that, we don't need to be Premier League proven. And as I said, Zubimendi came to Arsenal. They're top of the league. They might not win the league, I know, but he's gone in and been a starter. Rodri came into Man City and he's gone in and been a starter. So you don't Premier League proven is just ridiculous. Like, you don't have to do it all the time. And what I will say is value for money, quality is available if you scout well. And this is why Favel is at the club. I mean, Jason Wilcox, whatever you think about him, and I have some strong opinions, he is an ex-Man City youth coach and a one-season Southampton relegated director of football. This is not a guy that has a wide understanding of European football, let alone the world football. But Faval does. His whole his whole career, Favel, is based on knowing world football and up-and-coming players. That's who he is. That's what you get. So he will know about good young midfielders in Spain, in Germany, in South America, and this is where I think you need to lean on Sesko. Sesko is a signing. So look, I'm excited about this, and I think that we should look at. We should be looking at these. But the thing is, I just don't know who it is. But I think Barrios would be the most exciting one. Guerra at Valencia, I just don't know whether we've gone back in there. He definitely is a player that United like. A lot of you have mentioned Ugarte as well. There's probably others. But yes, this morning, Manchester United, again, linked by credible sources, James Ducker this time in the Telegraph, with midfielders in Spain. And it's interesting that we keep having that mention of Spain. The full update, though, let me just read you this. This is what said. United's current recruitment hierarchy, led by Wilcox and Favel, with Carrick and others feeding in, seem to recognise that central midfield is the club's oldest problem and will handicap progress until it is fixed. Elliot Anderson is greatly admired by the club, but costly, and Man City would appear to be the early front runners. Tonali has his admirers, and Wharton is a dynamic line-breaking passer and probably the cheapest option. Beyond that trio, United have previously inquired about Baleba through third parties. João Gomez is expected to leave, and Fernandes is earning a good reputation, and his price may fall if West Ham get relegated. All have Premier League experience, although several midfielders, as we said, in Spain are thought to be on United's radar. So that's the update this morning from James Ducker in the Telegraph. And look, honestly, is there anything new in there beyond the Spanish stuff? I mean, we know Elliot Anderson is a priority, but we seem to be scared of Man City's shadow. A lot of our fans are supporting City now anyway. We've got Tonali, who I think is perfect, but the club seem to not want to write the cheque. And we've got Adam Wharton, who, I mean, look, let's be honest, Adam Wharton's plan C, isn't he, if we're going there. Baleba, we shouldn't be going anywhere near him. João Gomez apparently wants to go to Liverpool anyway. So, look, that's where we are with the midfielders. And, look, it's going to run and run, isn't it? The question is, what will our solutions be? Oh, God, don't show me. I've just seen a picture of Barada and Wilcox clapping. Oh, God. Oh, disgusting. They make me want to throw up. Absolutely incompetent. Second story I want to talk to you about this morning. Michael Carrick asked if he's confident that Mainoo will sign a new contract at Manchester United. We've had Fabrizio Romano this morning doing the downloading thing. Look, can I just say this? Yes, I can. I really do hope that Manchester United sign Mainoo this week on a new contract, because the Maguire one last week was confusing, in my opinion. I don't know why we've done it. The Mainoo one makes sense. But can we get it done ASAP? Because I do not want this to be like a new signing. Like, Mainoo should have been given a new contract 18 months ago. It's long overdue. He's on 50 grand a week. He's a starting midfielder for Man United. Get him the contract and let's put that story to bed. Because what I don't want is this constant downloading. Mainoo's getting closer and closer. And with all due respect, I like Mainoo. I really do like him. But I'm not somebody that's like, I can't wait to go live the minute we've signed him. I'm not in that situation at all. So, sorry, my dog's barking 1 minute. She's a big Mainoo fan. Yeah, she's not happy. She just basically said it'll be massive news when Mainoo signs and stop being a miserable sod. But no, look, I'll be very happy when Mainoo signs. But to play devil's advocate, he's a great prospect, but it's not a new contract for Paul Pogba. It's not a new contract for Bruno Fernandes. He's still got a lot to learn, and United need to get this deal done so we can move on to the real deals. I mean, Mainoo signing a new contract, is actually embarrassing for the club because it should have been done 18 months ago. This is long overdue. Get it done. Let him get to work, and let's get to work in the market. I don't want to see this Mainoo deal moving towards late April, early May, so they can go, oh, look at this deal. Get Mainoo in a new top. Get him in a tracksuit that we're trying to sell. Just get on with it. Get on with it, and let's move on to some transfer targets. So, look, hopefully it's going to happen very soon. Michael Carrick said this. Obviously, we'd like to think he is going to sign a new contract, and it is getting closer. So, we're positive with that. We're calm with it, but we're positive with it. And time will tell how it goes. But at the moment, we're in a good place with it. So, it looks like it could run for a little bit longer before we get to that point as well. He was also asked about the future of Jadon Sancho and Malacia and Tom Heaton. And he said, coming to the summer, there's contracts and there's all sorts of things that need to be sorted out. But at this stage, it's not been sorted out. I think we'll cross that bridge a little bit further down the line. But on Mainoo, it's getting closer. So we're positive with that. He also mentioned the summer transfer window, Carrick, again. And he said there's obviously work that's going into planning for the summer. There has to be. There's no two ways around that. But in terms of two plans, having two separate transfer plans, I'm not going to delve into that much either. I think it's obvious to everyone to understand if you finish in certain places in the league and financially it makes a lot of difference to you if you don't. So I think that's obvious, but there's certainly work going on in terms of what can be done and trying to move forward and improving the squad and making the best of what we have got. I think in relation to that, I think my suspicions are probably coming to pass there. King Walker says Carrick's interviews are very boring. They are very boring, but before the Carrick brigade come in and start moaning, I'll be honest, he is a bit like Ollie in the sense that he's been given a dream job that maybe he would never have got. I mean, Ollie got sacked by Cardiff and ended up with a Man United 3-year deal. Carrick's been sacked by Middlesbrough and he could end up with a 3-year deal at Man United. It's one of the biggest jobs in football. He has got no experience. He has been given a golden ticket. You're not going to be like Mourinho or Ranić, where you come into a job like this, you've got the experience and you know what needs to be done and you want to be on the front foot. Michael Carrick's been given the dream job. He's not going to bite the hand that's fed him. He's going to go in and he's going to abide by whatever the rules are. He's not going to be charismatic. He's not going to be controversial. And he never has been. I've listened to Carrick do interviews as a pundit. He's just not that person. So if you're going to judge him for being boring or dull in interviews, well, that's not a surprise. That was always going to be the case. And he's never going to say anything controversial anyway, especially not when he's an interim. So I would defend him there and say, look, he's an interim coach as well. He's not going to say anything controversial. But I don't think he ever will anyway. I don't think he's ever going to be, even when he's got a longer contract, even if we get in a bad run of games, I don't think he's ever going to be that guy. I don't think he is. But I've sort of lost my track, my thought process now. What were we talking about? We were talking about... Yeah, the transfers. I mean, I personally think, and whether it's right or wrong, some people will agree with it, some people won't. I personally think, even though when you look at the league table, we're definitely getting Champions League football, I still think the club, and this is a criticism of the club, we always do this. We won't start doing things until we 100% definitely know we're in the Champions League. The same thing happened last year. We thankfully did miss out on Liam Delap, but we didn't want to commit on any transfer until we knew whether we were in the Champions League or not. And obviously that was dependent on the Spurs Europa League final. And we factually know that we didn't actually commit on any players until that was done. And I think we're doing it again. I think we've wasted the international break. And I think the reason we've done that is because we don't yet know whether we're going to be in the Champions League or not. Now, I think some football clubs would, Chelsea have already bought a player. They don't know where they're going to be. I'm sure Liverpool are in advanced talks with a couple of players. They don't know where they're going to be. But I feel with United, we never really truly start making moves until we 100% know what the situation is going to be. And of course, as much as I think the Champions League is going to be nailed on for Man United, and tonight's win will, all but secure it, I still think United will keep waiting until they 100% know that we're in the Champions League. So the sooner that gets 100% confirmed, the better. Obviously, if we win tonight, we're 10 points clear of 6th place Chelsea. If we go and beat them at Stamford Bridge on Saturday night, we'll be 13 points clear with 5 games to go. We've basically done it. So hopefully by this time next week, United will actually start advancing to United. David Moses says, Carrick is cheap PR for a board scraping results. Scaloni or Nagelsmann are elite level. Wilcox will just hire himself next, says David. Well, who's to say that Wilcox isn't the real coach anyway? I mean, he is at the training ground a lot. Maybe he'll bring a coach in where he can have a massive say in what's going to happen anyway. But look, that's that. Darleg, writing in capital letters, which he knows I absolutely love, says, what was the big announcement from last night, Mark? Well, if you listened properly last night, you'd know it's not happening until tomorrow. So there you go. I've just had beans on toast, says Ethan. Incredible news. Okay, let me move on. Next, I want to talk. Well, look, Sky again reporting this morning that United have contacted Villa over a possible summer deal for Rodgers, who is open to joining United. The deal, Villa value him at 90 million and could accept 80 to 90. Chelsea following closely and have made inquiries. They could act soon as well. It's not, I mean, look, I don't, sometimes United are linked to players and you go, that's where we need to move. That's what we need to do. Again, I don't really have anything to add on the Morgan Rodgers story other than I don't really know why we'd do it. I like Morgan Rodgers. I think he should start for England in the World Cup. And I think he's a fantastic player. But, I mean, I was watching Villa yesterday. He's not a winger. Like, he's just not a winger. So, if we're going to do... I mean, there's just so much that you sort of sometimes take a deep breath and go... It's like deja vu. Someone should bring Beyonce in. It's like deja vu. We sacked a Dutch manager. We gave a Portuguese manager a job. We sacked him, and then we gave an ex-player the job, having had him as an interim. And I'm not talking about Ten Hag, Amrim Carrick. I'm talking about Van Gaal, Mourinho, Ollie. Like, we've literally repeated the exact pattern. Dutch, Portuguese, interim ex-player gets the job. So we're literally following paths that we've already walked down, and we've still got fans going, ow, 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 clapping like seals. But if we sign Morgan Rodgers and Bruno Fernandes stays, it's basically like spending £50 million on Mata and sticking him on the wing. And how many times have we bought 10s and put him on the wing? I mean, we're doing it with Cunha now. So I like Morgan Rodgers. I really do think he's a good player. But we cannot buy yet another number 10 and put him on the wing, because we've been doing this for 15 years. Kagawa, Mkhitaryan, Mata, Cunha. We can't keep buying number 10s and putting them on the wing. So Rodgers can be, and also at that price. And look, I get it. Michael Carrick loves Morgan Rodgers. He had him at Middlesbrough. He wants a player that he likes. I get that. And in many ways, you should back the manager. If Michael Carrick says he wants Morgan Rodgers, why would we say we shouldn't do it? And you have to remember that. But from the outside looking in, it looks like a massive mistake that we're making again. And I think the easiest thing to make Manchester United successful, and I thought this is what Sir David Brailsford was doing with his strategic review, would be to get somebody to look at, from the day Sir Alex Ferguson left to today, review it. The bad transfers, the good transfers, the bad results, the good results, the periods where it looked like we were going to be decent and why it went wrong. There is so much data over the last 13 years for Manchester United. So much data. There's times where we thought we might be going places. Mourinho, when he finished second, and then we didn't follow it up with a good transfer window. If we strategically reviewed our last 13 years and found the issues so that we didn't repeat them again, we could probably start to progress. But we keep making the same mistakes, and you can't buy a number 10 for £80 million and put him on the wing. You just can't do that. We've definitely done that loads of times, and we have to avoid that. Dan says, hi Mark, how are us fans supposed to keep getting behind these managers' projects every few years? It feels like false hope as long as we have the Glazers. Look, Dan, I think that it's great that we've got Manchester United back playing tonight. I think fundamentally the transfer window will always be exciting because it's escapism. Man United playing games is escapism. And I think that's where we find our solace, in the sense that we have escapism. Transfers give you hope. Games give you escapism. And we should always embrace that. So I'm excited. And we're playing Leeds tonight, who are a rival. So smashing them is going to be very enjoyable. The bigger picture depresses you. There is a naivety with some fans that they think that we're going to be okay. But I've literally just spent 2 minutes talking about making the same mistakes again and again and again. And under this ownership, and hello, we are still owned by the Glazers. It's not Ineos who own Man United. Of course, there is that belief that we are just living in hope, because the reality is quite scary. But we have to hope. We have to hope that at some point we're going to stumble, luckily, onto a formula that works. Talking of which, I quite liked this story today. Manchester United and Aston Villa are both showing interest in Antonee Robinson of Fulham, with both clubs weighing up a move. United are especially eager to reinforce their left-back position following a series of issues in that area. And Fulham are reportedly willing to sell, for around £25 million. Now, I did a video, probably 6 weeks ago. I found our left back, and I have found our left back, and our left back is Lewis Hall, or Truffert. But if you want somebody with a little bit more experience, Antonee Robinson is arguably the best attacking left back in the Premier League. He averages over 5 crosses per 90. Lewis Hall is about 3. Luke Shaw is about 1, by the way. I mean, he's just not a left back. So he is a very, very good attacking left back. The issue and the reason United won't go for him, I mean, and his contract has only got 2 years left on it, is that he's 29 in August. And that's going to be a big no from Manchester United. But look, I don't even consider Antonee Robinson as an option for United, because we don't seem to want to break that 26 barrier. But he'd be a very, very, very intelligent signing for United. He has had a few injury problems this season. I would put my hands up and say that. But I think. Look, Gio says stupid parameters for age. Like, I'm sure a lot of you have watched a lot of Premier League football this weekend because we've been starved for 3 weeks. If you watch the Arsenal game, Truffert was incredible. You know, he dealt with Madueke very easily, and then they brought Downman on, and he dealt with him very, very well. He never stops going forward. I thought he was brilliant against us as well, and he's been pretty brilliant all season. I don't know why we're not being linked to Truffert at Bournemouth, because he is absolutely perfect for Manchester United. Like, he really is. He's Premier League proven. It's his debut season for Bournemouth. It's harsh on Bournemouth, but Iriola's probably going to leave this summer as well. He's not 25 until Christmas, so he's not young and he's not too old. I think it's a brilliant signing for Manchester United, and that's where we should be going. And I can't emphasise enough just how crap Luke Shaw is as a left back. He's basically playing at centre back. He won't go forward and he won't put crosses in. So if we had look at O'Reilly at Man City. Look at the goals he's scoring. I mean, I don't expect a goal scoring left back, but it's just like, how many important goals have Man City scored from left back over the last 3 years? Whether it's Vardiel, O'Reilly, and United just, as our fullbacks, just offer nothing, absolutely nothing. So look, I don't think we'll go for Antonee Robinson, but we do need to keep that left back conversation going, because it's hugely important that we add to our game. I mean, look, we've seen this season that we're averaging 2 goals a game, and we've seen this season that we can score goals against anybody, and that's by bringing people like Mbeumo and Cunha and Sesko into the team, and obviously Bruno's been fantastic. Imagine if we added fullbacks. It's not too much of an ask to have 2 fullbacks that can get back and forward, can defend a bit, but can attack a bit as well. I think it would be really, really exciting from a Manchester United point of view if we could get fullbacks that actually are part of the attack. Sorry, I've just been asked something there. What do you think about Martinez and Lacey expected to start tonight? Well, that's I've seen this ITK saying that Martinez and Lacey are expected to return to the matchday squad tonight. But when you read it, it says Martinez and Lacey are expected to return to the squad tonight unless there's any late issues. And it sort of covers your arse, doesn't it? If they're in the squad, oh, look at my scoop. If they're not in the squad, there was a late issue. So I don't expect either of them to start. It would be nice to see them on the bench. I think it's in a home environment against Calvert-Lewin, we're probably safe going with Heaven and Yoro. And I think, to be honest with you, I'm probably in the minority here. I think that I would rather take the risk on Heaven than Martinez. Because Martinez, we have to get him back fit. Whereas Heaven, we need to give him minutes to develop him. So would you rather give the minutes to somebody who you're risking fitness, or would you rather give the minutes to a young player who you're giving them minutes to develop? So I think I would like to see Heaven and Yoro play tonight. I think I'd be quite excited by that. I'm not really up for throwing Martinez in. And as far as Lacey goes, I mean, I'd love to see him getting minutes. Yeah, I really would. And I think Carrick's in tune with what Man United are all about, and I certainly think that we'll see Carrick giving Lacey minutes. I mean, whatever you think about Carrick, and I know a lot of people want him to be the manager, but he is in tune with what Manchester United are all about, and I think it will. I think he definitely will give Lacey minutes as soon as he's fit and available. Thank you very much for that. Heaven has been fantastic every time he plays. Some minor mistakes, but mostly solid and good all in all. Yeah, I agree with you keeping Red. I would be very happy to see Mainoo, not Mainoo will start. I'd be happy to see him play. I'd be very happy to see Heaven and Yoro play tonight. No Maguire because he's suspended. And I don't see the point in forcing Martinez back. Also, let's not forget, I know it's not quite playing midweek, but last time we played Sunday, Friday, and we struggled on the Friday. Remember, we're playing Monday, Saturday. So that's quite... I never thought I'd be saying this, but Monday, Saturday is quite a quick turnaround for Man United. So if you play Martinez tonight, you've sort of got to play him on Saturday, which is quite a quick turnaround. So I would say probably don't risk Martinez tonight. Dan says, would our current fullbacks improve if we had a disciplined and mobile midfield? I can see a case where we buy young and cheap as depth for next season. I think fundamentally the big problem with Manchester United's midfield, the big problem with Manchester United's defence is that fullbacks is that they don't get forward and support the attack. They don't overlap. Look, Delot gets forward more than Luke Shaw, but how many times does Delot refuse to put the cross in? Sometimes you wonder whether it's tactical, which makes no sense at all. But, you know, if you watch Hakimi and Mendes, and I know they're two of the best in the business, but it's get forward and get into the attack. You look at Timber for Arsenal, he gets forward and he gets in the box. Same with Man City's fullbacks. Same with Newcastle's fullbacks. Even, you know, it's not always teams that are successful. It's just strategically they want to get forward and be part of the attack. So. I think United are hugely missing out in relation to their fullbacks because Delot's just not good enough, and Luke Shaw just doesn't get forward statistically. I don't care what Ricky says. I'll pick a card. It's nothing more than fact, is it? That United haven't been as good in the fullback position for a very long time, and we do need to be. It's another area of improvement. The midfield has to take the priority, of course it does. What do you think about Ugarte going to Newcastle, Mark? I mean, I've seen a little bit of this over the weekend. I think George Mendes, who is something to do with Ugarte, may well be his agent, is touting him around Europe. There's been talk of Napoli, Turkey, Villa, Newcastle. I think whatever happens, it's probably going to be a loan with Ugarte. Look, I think the most... I think that with Ugarte, 2 years, so it's fair to say it's not worked out. I agree with Harry. I don't think we'll get a fee for Ugarte. I think we have to cut our losses, is what I'm trying to say. Let's just be blunt. We have to cut our losses. I don't see enough people now saying, let's see next season. I don't think we can do that. Reminds me of Antonee. I think Antonee in his first season, there was glimpses. And look, people forget, in his first season, Ugarte did okay. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad, he did okay. But the second season's been a complete and utter nightmare. So you've got to cut your losses. It was a mistake. Ten Hag didn't want to do it. Amram didn't want to use him. Carrick didn't want to use him. This was an Ineos signing. We sold McTominay to do this. And in hindsight, I think letting McTominay go was the right thing to do. But we probably would have been better off keeping him and not signing Ugarte, if I'm being completely honest, because it hasn't worked. So the main thing with Ugarte is that we move him on. The worst thing we can do is keep him, and, well, he's option 4. That, to me, is just what an unambitious football club does. We need 3 midfielders, and we've got Mainoo. We can't sign 2 midfielders and have Mainoo and Ugarte, because that's just not going to work. I mean, imagine next season, right? You're playing Champions League football, you're home to Bayern Munich, you're 3-2 down. Mainoo's having a bad game, he gets subbed off for the other midfielder, and then your other midfielder goes down injured with half an hour to go, and you bring Ugarte on. Can't be bringing Ugarte on in year 3 in big games. And that's the way I always think about it. It's not fantasy football, it's reality football. So if Ugarte is one of our 4 midfielders, we're going to have to use him in games like, could be Arsenal away, could be Bayern Munich, or whatever. We can't do that next season. It's not fair on him and it's not fair on us. So we have to move him on, which is why we need 3 midfielders. Moving Ugarte on, nobody in their right mind is going to give us 35 million, which is what we need to break even. So I think it's going to have to be a loan deal. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. If we're fortunate enough to get a bit of money and take a loss, okay. But I think what we might need to do is lose another year of his contract so that next summer, not this summer, his value is 25 million on the books. The Glazers hate selling people for a loss on the books. And Ugarte, after 2 years out of a 5-year deal, his book value is about 35 million. No one's going to give us 35 million. So it's going to have to be a loan, take another year off his book value. Next summer you can get 25. So I think it's going to have to be a loan. And maybe a Villa or a Newcastle might look at him as a loan deal. But I think he'll be loaned abroad. But I'll repeat it again. If Ugarte leaves, and I think he does need to go, we absolutely have to sign 3 midfielders, definitely. And I thought I'd also say a warning as well. If Ugarte plays in the World Cup and he plays well for Uruguay, I don't want to see people saying, let's give him another chance. You can't scout players in the World Cup. International football is very, very different to domestic football. And we can't be doing that. Mark Hughes says we should have got Vitinha instead of Ugarte. Well, we helped. We helped. But Mendes basically masterminded the João Neves deal from Benfica to PSG and Ugarte to us. So we were part of João Neves going to PSG by funding Ugarte. But we should have got João Neves. I think we all agree we need to sign a minimum of 5 players plus sales and a manager. In my opinion, they will still be discussing Mainoo at Christmas, says Andy Atherton. Check out last night's video. It was very, very good, but we were talking about priority positions, who Manchester United should be signing. I said 7. 7 position, 7 players need to be signed by Man United as a minimum. I said a backup goalkeeper, a left back, 3 midfielders, a backup striker, and a left winger. So 7 players, non-negotiable. I do agree we need a right back. I do agree that we probably need a centre back, but 7 has to be the minimum, and we won't do that. We won't do 7. I'd love to be wrong on that, but I don't think we'll do 7. Mojo, thank you very much for your super chat. Legend. He says, however horrible it will be, I believe Bruno will leave, irrespective of who the manager is and who we sign. Even if we do, we ain't winning the league or being consistent in the Champions League for at least 2 more seasons, and Bruno will be 34 by then. I don't think Bruno will go, Mojo. I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that he will leave, but I don't think he will go. I think listening to his interviews, he's quite comfortable at Man United, isn't he? His family's happy. He's the main guy. He's the captain. The team revolves around him. He gets to play with freedom. They'll be in the Champions League next year. I think we might have misprofiled Bruno in the sense that, you know, is he ambitious to win the big prizes, or is he happy being the main guy? And I think he's happy being the main guy. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I just think at Man United, he is the main guy. And if he goes to PSG or Barcelona or Real Madrid, then he won't be the main guy. And I think he likes having the freedom that he has at Manchester United. I think he will stay. Fullbacks don't necessarily put crosses in anymore. It's all about possession. Timber and Delo play a similar role, with Timber just being better, says Dan. I don't know where you've been, Dan, because we're playing in a Premier League season where crossing is an absolute must. And I think that Antonee Robinson, Maatson, Lewis Hall, O'Reilly, all these players get forward and join the attack. So we definitely do. I mean, I don't know whether you're trying to say we don't need fullbacks, because we definitely do. 100% we definitely do. It's funny how City always use the January transfer window. Yes, yet Ineos ignore it, says Mozan. Mate, I mean, it's not the January transfer window, but you are absolutely spot on. Is it not surprise? Is it not, you know, obvious to everybody that the team that's in the best form in the Premier League at the moment is the team that went and bought 2 players in the January transfer window? So, yeah, I mean, the January transfer window is a transfer window, and they've used it very, very well. Certainly. What's this here? Oh no, I'm not reading that. Why don't you want Rodgers? Look, as I said, the reason I don't want Morgan Rodgers is I do like Morgan Rodgers. I do like Morgan Rodgers. I just don't think it's the right fit for Manchester United at the moment. I think we need to focus on different areas, and I think spending that amount of money on a player that's a number 10. Look, if Bruno Fernandes leaves, we're having a different... I mean, look, going back with what Mojo says thinks Bruno will go. If Bruno Fernandes leaves, then we're having a different conversation. I'm assuming that Bruno Fernandes is going to stay. So why do I want to buy number 10 for a massive amount of money? I don't. I want to spend that money on something else. And I don't know what our budget's going to be. It won't be endless. I mean, look, I want 7 players. We won't have the money to buy 7 players. I can't see that happening. And you know, it's quick maths to understand how quickly that money will get used up. I mean, if you buy Elliot Anderson or Tonali, that's the best part of 100 million gone. Do you think we've got more than 200, 250? So it won't go far. G-Man says, it sounds like we're bending the knee for Bruno. I sort of feel like you have to. I mean, I personally would offer him a decent wage increase to keep him. And look, we can talk about tactics. We can talk about Carrick. We can talk about third in the league. We can talk about all these things. And I suppose you could do it with any team. But if I said to you, where would Manchester United be without Bruno Fernandes, regardless of Carrick or Maguire or Casemiro or third in the league, where would we be without Bruno? I genuinely look at that league table and say, probably where Newcastle are. Probably 10 to 15 points worse off than we are at the moment. Yeah, I think Bruno Fernandes this season, we are the definition of a one-man team. I think he's... yeah, I mean, I don't think United this season have been as... From a team perspective, I don't think we've been as free-flowing as maybe some people think. I think, look, you look at that Villa game, we're probably going to lose that game against Villa when they get back to 1-1. And Bruno Fernandes just pulls off an amazing assist and Cunha scores and it changes the game. Even the Fulham game, it's a Bruno assist into Seska. Everything goes back to Bruno this season. I think without him, it's yeah, you've got to keep a player like that, is what I'm saying. Patrick Lynch says any reinforcements would make a difference. Question is, will we get enough, and will have the quality to make it a drastic improvement? Yeah, well, and also Patrick, of course, sometimes in a summer transfer window, it is about reinforcements and hoping that they're going to improve a structure. I don't know what structure we're going into next season. Like, what I'm saying is, if Man City buy a couple of players in the summer, they're adding onto the top of a very good structure. We're actually removing Casemiro, who is one of our most important players, and so are we going to get better or worse next season? You want to get better, but we're actually removing a big part of our success this season. So you've got to replace something just to hold ground, and then you've got to improve on top of that as well. So it's such a significant summer. And also, I don't even know, and look, let's hope that tonight it's not just the result, it's performance and vision. Performance, result and vision, PRV. Going into next season, we've definitely got results because we're going to be in the Champions League, but is the performance at the level we want it to be, and is the vision for the future, what is it? And I think that's another thing as well. What is the vision for the future from the club at the moment? Forget the manager. What's the vision? Are we what are we looking to achieve, and where are the glimpses of that? The results are there to provide a platform, but what is it we're going to try and be next season? What's our identity next season? How are we going to play next season? Are we going to play a deep defensive line and counter like we are at the moment, or are we going to play a higher defensive line and try and have more possession? On average this season, we've got a very low possession. We're around 50-50 in most games. So are we going to try and be more of a possession-based team? Are we going to be a counter-attacking team? What is it we're going to be next season? Dan says, can't wait for the watch-along tonight. Early signs are worrying on transfers. Let's hope we've proved wrong. Thank you very much, Dan. And Nors says, call me crazy, but I would love it if Bayern win the Champions League. Kane comes back to the Premier League, breaks Shearer's record, and be the mentor for Sesko. Am I dreaming? I mean, I'd love Harry Kane in a Man United shirt, but yeah, I think you are dreaming, mate. I can't see that happening. Although, if Harry Kane came back to the Premier League this summer, he's got a very good excuse with Spurs, hasn't he? He ain't going to play in the Championship, so... I mean, stranger things have happened. I would love to see him in a Manchester United shirt. But again, is that what Man United need? Do Man United need to sign a striker? Or do they need to sign a backup striker? Yeah. Gaz says, what's the big news later today? I don't know why people are talking about big news later today. I never said there was big news today. I said it's tomorrow. Tune in on the 10 o'clock show tomorrow. I think people are getting confused. What is we have got Baller League live Gold Devils at 5 o'clock, and then we're live here for the watch along at 8 o'clock. That's big stuff going on today. And don't forget to tune in at 5 because you will be my assistant coaches, because I'm going to be sat in this room watching my team play with the phone on to my coach because I can't be there. Chris Jackson says, what is the worst case versus best case window, Mark? For me, it is buying no experience and doing a Spurs next year versus buying 3 ready players and consolidating. Transfer window, Chris. Worst case scenario is losing Casemiro, bringing in inexperience and then flopping. Best case scenario is losing Casemiro, bringing in people like Tonali, Stiller, Anderson, Truffert, experienced players that improve us instantly and hit the ground running. You want more of a Cunha and Mbeumo summer than a Baleba and Wharton summer, basically. You want people that are going to breed confidence, because Casemiro will be a loss on the pitch and in the dressing room. And to replace that with learner drivers will end up being Chelsea. And look, Chelsea have bought really well over the last 3 or 4 years. They've bought really good potential players. Cole Palmer, Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, these players, João Pedro, these are good players. Good players. But there's no experience to take the load and teach them. So they just end up being a bunch of headless chickens who are talented but don't have any experience. So United need to bring some experience in, certainly. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this morning. Very excited to be back. You can tune in, of course, tonight at 5 on my channel for the Baller League. And then we're back here from about 6, certainly 7:30 for me with the watch along, for an 8 o'clock kickoff. Take care. I'm going to go and get myself a cup of tea. Very excited about today. And I'll speak to you all in a bit.